Hi everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen. The next page in our taco manual actually takes us to the most rustic taco I think I've ever encountered in Mexico. It's a taco de quelites, or a wild greens taco. Now, I first encountered this decades ago when I was in the Friday market in Toluca. Toluca is just outside of Mexico City, and it's up at like over 9,000 feet, one of the highest elevation cities in all of North America. But on Fridays, they have this enormous plaza where all these vendors come together and have this great big market. And one of the people that was cooking there in just a simple, very rustic market stall was making tacos de quelites. Now, she was using the wild greens, which is actually what I'm going to be using today. But you can make this with all kinds of greens. It could be something as simple as Swiss chard, or it could be beet greens or collard greens or mustard greens. It could be some very, let's say, mature spinach. You could use that. But what I'm going to be working with today is this stuff that is called quelite de ceniza. In English, we call it lamb's quarters. And also a lot of the vendors there would use another one of the greens that's called amaranth greens. You can find those in a lot of the Asian grocery stores if you want to use that. But you can find these in farmers markets around Chicago because it's not only an available green, and you literally collect it from the wild, but it's also delicious. It's really, really good. It doesn't, where the Swiss chard will have that sort of cabbagey-like flavor to it. These are super clean. In some ways, they remind me of spinach, but with a lot more texture. Okay, the first thing that we're gonna do, and this is a very simple recipe, is to cut up about, I'm gonna say, 1/4 inch slices of white onion, and I am going to start heating a pan over here, and I am going to, let's grab the wrong thing there, I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil, enough to coat the bottom of a very large skillet. That's my 12-inch skillet. Now, you have lots of choices. To tell you the truth, when I had these in Toluca, they were cooked in fresh rendered pork lard, which made those greens even better. If you save bacon drippings, this would be a great place to use those. So you can make your own choices there. Once I get all of these sliced up, I'm going to add them to the hot oil and do what I call a sort of fast caramelization, where there is still some crunch in the onion, but it's nicely browned on the outside. Okay, scoop all of this into the pan here. And while that's starting to cook, I am going to chop up this garlic. When the onions are ready, I'm going to add the garlic to the pan and just toss it for a minute in order for the garlic to begin to cook but not burn. Okay, I'm working over about a medium-high heat here, and it's taken me about 5 minutes or so to get those onions to that nicely browned stage. I'm going to put the chopped garlic in there, and I always say you stir this around until it fills your kitchen with that beautiful aroma. That will only take a few seconds. Okay, now I'm smelling it. It smells really good. I'm going to add some, this is I'm making this all vegetable based. So I put a vegetable stock in here. You could use chicken stock for this if you're not trying to go all vegetarian with it. And then I've got the quelites that I picked the thick stems off of and then washed. You really have to wash the wild greens very well, especially this one, because it's called quelites de ceniza, which means the ashen quelites, or the ashen wild greens, because they actually sort of feel like they have some ash on them. So I'll put those all in the skillet. It's going to fill it up. It will cook down. Now, if you are using a quick cooking green, this one's going to take about 8 minutes or so to get done. But if you're working with a quick cooking green like amaranth greens or spinach, only put in a half a cup. I put 3/4 of a cup of the vegetable broth in here. I've got to season this now. So I'm going to put about a teaspoon of salt down in here. That will be close to what we will need for this. Sort of mix it in just a little bit here. And because I don't have a lid for this particular skillet, this cast iron skillet, I'm just going to use a cookie sheet. And I'm going to let those cook for about 8 minutes or so, and then come back and show you where we are at that moment. Okay, I'm looking at this now, and they look really tender. Yeah, they're really tender, and they have that wonderful deep green flavor without anything that's sort of what I would say off-putting at all. Mix all of the beautiful caramelized onions in there. Okay, we are ready to make tacos now. I've got some hot corn tortillas. This takes me right back to that experience that just burned itself into my memory all those years ago with these beautiful handmade tortillas that had just come off the comal, and then the greens with the caramelized onions going on top of those. I tasted it, by the way, when I was checking for doneness of the quelites, and it had just the right amount of salt. So I'm going to show you exactly what I had all those years ago, and it was a bold red chili salsa that was based on árbol chile, and that's what I'm going to put across here. This really does perk it up in a beautiful, beautiful way. And then queso fresco, but a really good queso fresco, because Toluca is really well known for cheeses. They have great chorizo and great cheeses there. So we'll put that there on top of it. A good amount of the queso fresco, because you want that kind of creamy, contrasting texture and flavor. You got that bold red chili salsa there, and it, to me, makes one of the most satisfying tacos that you could possibly ever have.